So I did a video about the McCloskeys, for those of you who don't remember the story. Um, the McCloskeys are a couple from St. Louis. They were actually lifelong Democrats. They had donated to Democratic causes, right? They're trial lawyers. For those of you who don't know, some of the biggest financial backers of the Democratic Party are trial lawyers and Hollywood. And trial lawyers, because the Democrats are more prone to pass legislation that makes it easier to sue people. So the McCloskeys were like lifelong Democrats, and they had bought a house in St. Louis and rebuilt it up on their own to make it something special. However, the McCloskeys happened to live somewhat close to the mayor. And by somewhat close to the mayor, I mean not actually that close at all. So when the Black Lives Matter riots came to St. Louis, and no, they weren't rioting over David Dorn, who was killed, they were rioting over some nonsense. Thank you for the follow. They decided to cut through the McCloskeys' private gated community in order to find the mayor's house. Now, according to the McCloskeys, you cannot get to the mayor's house from their private gated community. And they tore down this gate. There's actually photos of the gate being torn down. They were all in my video. So these rioters were on private property. They had already destroyed the city. Mr. McCloskey had to board up his office in St. Louis because of the rioting. And they decided that they were going to defend their property. Now, they didn't come out to shoot anybody, they didn't come out to kill anybody, but they came out to deter any harm from happening to their property, right? So, they were trying to defend their private property, and they were vilified by the left as white supremacists targeting minorities. Now, they gave some like cringy speeches about how they were more concerned about the white Antifa than the black people in the crowd and all that, just trying to say this and that so that they could, like save face because they were being accused of being racist publicly. And I think one of the news anchors on MSNBC or CNN said that they're the face of white supremacy, but that's all like nonsensical. Like, they were trying to defend their property from people that were creating problems on their property that had no right to be there. Again, it was private property. And yeah, that's why they ended up getting punished. It was horrible, and they did nothing wrong. And I defended them because I'm a good person. And also, I'm adding Marino as a mod. Oh wait, that's Summer. Yeah, I think that's him. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Don't do too much damage. But yeah. So that's what happened with the McCloskeys. Like, somebody else is saying. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's what happened with the McCloskeys. Everybody straight, and now I guess they're Republicans all of a sudden, because when the Democratic Party is trying to do a political prosecution against you, I guess you have no other options. And for those of you who don't remember, they actually have one of these, like, Sean King put into power district attorneys in St. Louis now. So that's why they're being persecuted by the prosecution. So, that's really it. Let's do it.
Good evening, America. We are Mark and Patty McCloskey.
McCloskey. That's how you pronounce it. For those of you who are confused. Like, I know how to spell it, but you guys might be confused by that. Why does this... I mean, I get it's PBS, but 1,500 dislikes? What could they possibly say that would get dislikes? Should I... Oh, no, comments are turned off. I was going to say, should I dare read a comment under this?
Speaking to you tonight from St. Louis, Missouri, where just weeks ago you may have...
Damn, you could tell that they're old, fancy people. Like, look at the furniture in their home. Jesus. I know they restored, like, an old house, but I think they got, like, the great ancestor, whoever built the original furniture, to, like, restore the original furniture. Like, look at all this. Like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, I went to historic houses when I was in Spain, and they had furniture like this. Like, But they look like they're on a film set. This looks like a rich person in a movie set. Yeah, no. Yeah, this. I mean, it is a very traditional house that they restored, but like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, people are saying it's handcrafted. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. Good on them for restoring that. No wonder they wanted to protect their property. they look. Somebody said Marino's like they look like the people who run stuff in the Purge movies. Yeah, I mean, honestly. I mean, those are the people that those movies tell you to get. By the way, I'm going to like this because the McCloskeys don't deserve this.
Seen us defending our home as a mob of protesters
Badass right there. Look at the McCloskeys. Look at him in his weird pink shirt. McCloskey power.
descended on our neighborhood.
Yeah, he was saying that he was worried about the white protesters. Look who's in the camera.
America is such a great country that not only do you have the right to own a gun and use it to defend yourself, but thousands of Americans will offer you free advice on how to use it. At least
That's because her handling was really poor. I think her gun was actually like non-firing. Like there was like a block in it, and that's why she, like, her fumbling in it. It didn't really matter. It might have been like a replica or something. Like she just grabbed something. His gun was legit though. But that is funny. She's like, they will offer you free advice on how to handle your gun. That makes me laugh.
that's what we experienced. What you saw happen to us could just as easily happen to any of you who are watching from quiet neighborhoods around our country. And that's what we want to speak to you about tonight.
That's exactly right. Whether it's the defunding of police, ending cash bail so criminals can be released back out on the streets the same day to riot again, or encouraging...
My dude is a defense attorney and he's saying this. He's like, what are you talking about, ending cash bail? He's like, do you know the scumbags that I represent? He's like, you want to end cash bail? Do you know the monsters that I personally, as a defense attorney, have set back out off the street? Like, are you kidding me? End cash bail? It's like, Jesus. He's like, I want to throw the case half the time that these scumbags come into my office. You know, even if they tell me they're guilty, I have to represent them. I don't know why I'm making him like New York Italian. That's like the only accent I can do because I'm around it so much. But he's like, ending cash bail? No. Wrong. Incorrect. Get that shit out of here. Putting rioters back on the street? No.
Anarchy and chaos on our streets. It seems as if the Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals.
Look at that light. See, this is why I call this a movie house, because look at the lighting. You see how his hair is glowing from the top? That's because there's a light there meant to separate him from the background, which is why he's so distinct from there. Like, I don't know if they actually got professional camera crew to go to his house, but this is like very well produced. And I know like a lot of you don't admire production as much as I do, but you could see the light right here. It's what's making him have that glow in his hair. That's actually meant to separate him from the background, right? Like, did they set this up in their house naturally, or like what? Like, this had to be a crew, but how much of a crew can you have in the middle of a pandemic? It's ridiculous.
But rather protecting criminals from honest citizens. Not a single person.
Like, just look at how distinct they are from there. And like, this light is there and it's on to give the illusion that there's light coming from there. There's obviously other lights around here that are making that separation in there.
In the out-of-control mob you saw at our house was charged with a crime. But you know who was? We were. They've actually charged us with felonies for daring to defend our home.
Yeah, that is crazy. They did break his gate and they were trespassing on private property. And they're charged with felonies. And Missouri, the state that they're in, has an insanely powerful stand your ground law and an insanely powerful castle doctrine law. So there's no justification for the charges against them under Missouri law. They just made that up. They charged them with some kind of intimidation of protesters or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I covered it in a video on my channel. But somebody said that they told the camera crew to give them, or the lighting crew to give him the Trump blonde. Yeah. I mean, honestly, he's going a little gray. He probably just dyed it and he wanted that dye to pop.
On top of that, consider this. The Marxist liberal activist leading the mob to our neighborhood.
Look, oh my God. All right. What do you notice about the people disproportionately in this photo right here? Does anybody see what I'm seeing? Does anybody know? Oh, okay. People picked it up immediately. I believe Missouri is one of the more obese states in yeah, the minority thing is neither here nor there. They're in St. Louis. It's a very black city. But the I believe St. Louis ranks among the top of the nation in terms of obesity. People are saying, were they convicted? No, no, no. They're still dealing with it right now. But yeah, this is a weird like photo, right? Because I mean, morbidly obese right here, morbidly obese right here, overweight, morbidly obese at the lead, overweight, morbidly obese. Like you know how they in the protest they're like white people go to the front so they could take the fire, but also white people don't go to the front because we don't want you to center yourselves. This was use your biggest people as your human shields. I it's just a strange production. Thank you for the subscriber, the weird subscriber on there. Yeah, diabetes, yes. What we have is COVID morbidities at the same time as there's a pandemic. So, yeah. Some people have to catch their breath. No, but seriously, like, look at the people behind. I know, like, I don't usually focus on this on my main channel, but this is very. We break down every aspect of this, everything I see live when we're doing the stream. But, like, look at the people further back. And it's like, it's almost a minor miracle that these people were able to get in front of them. Like, you would assume that they walk significantly slower than them. So, like, but the people in the back are definitely just less, like, overweight. Like, I don't know how you could not notice that from looking at this photo. It screams out to me. Also, this guy has a weird teddy bear on his shirt. Does anybody else notice that? Like, that's like a Teddy Fresh logo? That's like Ethan reaching out to the BLM movement. That's what they put out. Does anybody know what that logo is? On this guy right here? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Yeah, I have no idea. Leave it in the comments if you're watching this later, if you know what that logo is. But yeah.
Stood outside our home.
Oh, they're not getting bigger. The camera's zooming in on it. Sorry. It's an illusion.
With a bullhorn screaming, "You can't stop the revolution." Just weeks later, that same Marxist activist won the Democrat nomination to hold a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Oh, that's the Michael Brown woman. Yeah, a woman. So people are complaining about Laura Loomer winning a congressional primary and the QAnon lady in some other state winning a congressional primary. That freaking woman ran on Michael Brown. Mike Brown. The shooting that I've disproved so many times on my channel that honestly I could just cut clips of other times I've debunked it as responses to new people. I've said it every which way. That woman won a congressional primary. And she was one of the rioters that were attacking this person. You know, it's just crazy what's going on. But yeah, so like you want to talk QAnon, like if you're promoting the Michael Brown conspiracy theories, you're on that same level. Like that's what's happening. But yeah, that woman won a primary and she was one of the rioters outside of his place trespassing on his property. Some clown. By the way, she ran on Mike Brown for a congressional primary seat. What the hell is the Congress, a local congressional representative, gonna do about Mike Brown? They elected a Mike Brown prosecutor, like some doofus. He did an investigation. He kept it secret. They go to find, because he didn't want the police to taint it. They go through all the evidence. Then they find out that Michael Brown, I did a reaction to this, that Michael Brown, his shooting was justified. All the forensic evidence points to it. So then he has to come out with his tail between his legs, the fourth idiot who's investigated this, thinking that there was something there, and say, oh yeah, we're not going to be doing charges. And he did the investigation secretly because he didn't want to have to do a report. If I'm in St. Louis, I'm requesting a Freedom of Information Act report on that investigation, because I want the fourth investigation that shows Michael Brown's shooting was justified to come out. But again, this is a little bit of a rant based on the fact that that woman won a congressional primary seat running on Mike Brown. Jesus Christ. Mike Brown, come on, guys.
In the city of St. Louis, that's the same as winning the general election. That Marxist...
Okay, so this is very... All right, I just noticed something else about the production value of this. So I talked about the Hollywood lighting, but like let's talk about the color scheme. So he's wearing blue and she's wearing orange, and this is actually teal right here, right? So teal and orange is a color contrasting technique that you'll see in a lot of Hollywood movies. You could actually see orange and blue right here in the books behind them. And this is to create more contrast in the image. And because these are the most contrasting colors and Hollywood, everybody copies one another, almost all movies are done in the teal and orange format. So this is yet another instance of a like production tip in there. So this is a very well planned out little interview right here. You have the lighting separating them from the backdrop. Obviously a nice backdrop with textures which are interesting to look at on film. You have competing textures over here on the left side, and you have color contrast right there. Like crazy.
Revolutionary is now going to be the Congresswoman from the 1st District of Missouri. These radical...
His wife just had me cracking up. Patricia, like look at what happens when she says this. They may be on a Hollywood set, but like their rehearsing of this is kind of a little bit obvious.
District of Missouri. These radicals are...
I do like the eye roll, but the nod, no. I mean, come on. Patricia, we need another take. We need to get this. We need to get this better. I mean, his reading of the lines, not that great. Like, I'm grading people on how they deliver the speeches. I love the McCloskeys. I support them. They did nothing wrong. They're non-criminals in any way, shape, or form. But you need to take this again. You have the light, you have the set, you have the cameras. Everything's making you guys pop, but you need to get the delivery. This is honestly on the director. It's the director's job to get the best performance out of their actors, and I'm not feeling it. It's not connecting with me. The characters, you know, they have compelling stories on paper. I love their backdrop, but it's you got to really push them performances. And yes, for those of you who are like, oh no, this is legit and all that, listen. What happened to them was legit, but this part of a convention is the performance, like how you deliver the speech.
Not content with marching in the streets. They want to walk the halls of Congress. They want to take over. They want power. This is Joe Biden's party. These are the people who will be in charge of your future and the future of your children.
I mean, they're lifelong Democrats, so I can understand the difficulty in saying this, being lifelong Democrats. So, but I mean, honestly, if this wasn't what they wanted to say, they should have had like the speech more in tune with what they wanted to talk about. You know what I mean?
They're not satisfied with spreading the chaos and violence into our communities. They want to abolish the suburbs altogether by ending single-family home zoning. This forced rezoning would bring crime, lawlessness, and low-quality apartments into now thriving suburban neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting in terms of a policy that the Democrats have zoned in on, because the Democrats go look at the major Democratic cities and how all the housing is blowing up in cost. One of the reasons why that's happening is because Democratic cities typically have way stricter zoning requirements than Republican cities or Republican areas. So the fact that they're just trying to do this to take down the suburbs because they thought that the suburbs are racist, like, I either think one of two things are going to happen. One, this isn't going to happen, right? The Democrats are not actually going to push for this legislatively when they get into power, because on the local level, Democratic mayors and Democratic governors love managing the zoning of these cities because they like using that as a bludgeon to regulate the crap out of people. But two, I just think it's it is an interesting reversal because the Republicans are typically more interested in this. But the Republicans prefer local governance, so maybe the local governance wouldn't allow this to happen. So maybe that's the hitch in there. But yeah, very interesting. Also, Chris is like doing yeoman's work, throwing my Streamlabs link in there. I appreciate that, Chris. It's really nice of you to do that. Nobody is contributing, but that's okay. That's okay. You guys contribute with your hearts and your love and your viewership, and honestly, I appreciate that a ton right now.
President Trump smartly ended this government overreach, but Joe Biden wants to bring it back. These are the policies that are coming to a neighborhood near you. So make no mistake, no matter where you live, your family will not be safe in the radical Democrats' America.
She's like, get the rioters out of our neighborhoods. We don't want them there.
At this moment in history, if you stand up for yourself and for the values our country was founded on, the mob, spurred on by their allies in the media, will try to destroy you. You've seen us on your TV screens and Twitter.
The protesters marched through their front gate onto their property and up to their house. These people have every right. Oh, I thought this tweet was going to be like a negative tweet. If you want to defund the police, then support the right to do this. First of all, don't support defunding the police or this. I'm sorry, or be against this. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to defend yourself, and if the police are there, you should also be able to, like, have police come. So, yeah, you don't have to trade one. You keep both.
Feeds, you know that we're not the kind of people who back down. Thankfully, neither is Donald Trump. President Trump will defend the God-given right of every American to protect their homes and their families. But more than that, Trump's vision for America is a country where you have an opportunity to work hard and build the life you dream.
Yeah, they definitely, like, this is a more, oh, thank you for, thank you. Clinton Austin, Clinton, thank you for the $1 because Chris, thank you. Sweet man right there. Gentleman and a scholar. His kindness knows no bounds. I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought the McCloskey speech would be better. Like, the speeches from the regular people, I found them to be really compelling. You guys know my favorite one. Thank you for the... Oh, alright. Thank you for the 5. I appreciate that. I like your stream a lot more than your videos. Really? That's interesting. Make sure you subscribe to AJW2 Dreams Come True on my YouTube, my second YouTube channel. That's where these segments get thrown up. So, thank you. That's interesting. Totally broke my chain of thought, but it is quite compelling. Does anybody know where I was, where I was talking? Oh, no, here we go. So the normal people were a lot better than the Speaker Gates that I was talking about. Oh, Chris. Sean is the one and only actual justice warrior. I swear that's gonna turn into an actual thing, even though I was completely joking about it. She got really, like, defensive. She was, I'll talk about that after. So the regular people were definitely better than the politicians. Like, somebody sent me Matt Gaetz, and compared to, like, Maximo Alvarez, the Cuban, who had a fantastic speech, Matt Gaetz fell, like, really flat for me. This is probably the weakest of the regular people speeches, and I wasn't in love with the Sandman one. It's also because I'm watching them, like, Ann Dorn's speech was just so good, and, like, so, it was so, how do I call it? It was just, like, it was emotional, it was gut-wrenching, and it, like, hits you, like, right in the heart, and that just can't be replicated by every one of these people, because not every one of these people has that strong of a story. You know what I mean? Like, the David Dorn shooting was just horrific. And, you know, it's just... She was amazing, and her story is a unique tragedy among them, so... Somebody says Sean's feels. Well, look, that's what this like, the reason you have normal people come up is to speak and, like, evoke emotion. Like, normal people aren't that useful for advocating for logical policies. Like, you have her out there because this happened to her husband. It is an emotional appeal. You had Sandman out there because he's a kid and he had the harassment of the media happen to him. Again, an emotional appeal. The McCloskeys are supposed to be making an emotional appeal, but now they're talking about urbanization of suburban areas, and it's not making that connection for me. Alright. Like, Ann Dorn's speech was incredibly light on policy and heavy on emotion because she was talking about the death of her husband, that I don't know how long they've been married, but, you know, it was gut-wrenching. Like, that's what these, like, actual people are supposed to deliver for us at these events.
Dream of, with a job you love, with your children being educated in great schools, in a community where your family can play in the backyard without fear, worship in a church without shame, and express your beliefs without retribution. Trump brought us the greatest economy our country had ever seen. The Democrats.
You see what I mean about the McCloskeys? You know, honestly, I'm going to take away that. I'm not going to dislike it, but I'll take away the like. Yeah, they're talking about Trump's economy. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that tangible thing. They should be talking about them being attacked by the mainstream media. They should be talking about the fear that they felt. Like, that's why they're here, you know what I mean? Like, this urbanization of suburban areas, this Trump built the greatest economy pre-pandemic. It's not really like what needs to be in here. And again, they only have 5 minutes. It's almost like they got a speech from a policy person at the Trump team, and they're delivering it. Like, they have a compelling story, they have a sympathetic story, they have an interesting story, and they're not delivering that. I don't understand. It's just something's missing here. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Have brought us nothing but destruction.
When we don't have basic safety and security in our communities, we'll never be free to build a brighter future for ourselves, for our children, or for our country. That's what's at stake in this election, and that's why we must re-elect Donald Trump. God bless you. God bless the president.
And God bless these United States.
You guys really needed to line that up. Their synchronization is off point. I'll tell you what about the power of the. So yeah, this speech fell flat for me. Like, if I'm being honest, and I'll tell you. One of the ways that I could tell that this speech fell flat for me is that I'm looking at this, right? Oh, I just messed up. Let me bring this up again. So I'm looking at this, right? And in the corner right here, above the like under the up next, I see Ann Dorn. I'm getting more emotional from looking at Ann Dorn in this little thumbnail than from the entirety of that speech. That's like the disparity that we have here. Which, by the way, let me just click on this.
My name is Ann Dorn.
And yeah, all right. So this one isn't even underwater on PBS. You know what I mean? So that's great. Like, if that was underwater,
Good evening, America.
That would have annoyed me. So yeah, just the emotional, like, just the disparity in the reaction that I have from an image of that woman that just reminds me of how she was when she spoke, and the McCloskeys. It's night and day, and it shows you a little bit about the weakness of this speech. Like, this should have been better. Like, I should have been more impressed by this, and I just wasn't. And I can't tell you guys that I'm impressed by something that I'm clearly not. So, yeah, they kind of blew it. So yeah, the McCloskeys, 100% a legitimate case, 100%. Are screwed over being targeted by a prosecutor, an overzealous prosecutor that is put into power by Sean King's super PAC, a bum of a prosecutor, a corrupt prosecutor, 100% did nothing wrong, but their speech didn't deliver because they gave, like, a generic Republican policy speech instead of something that was personal. And, you know, you're in their home, and if they gave something personal, even all the, like, clear production choices that are being made, I could overlook as long as there was, like, that personal appeal to it. But when you're giving a political speech, all those production things stand out to me. Your teal and orange color scheme that you could see, that stands out to me. The lighting that's meant to distinguish you from the background, the fact that there's a textured background. Thank you for the subscription, Towering Trouble. Like, the fact that even the books are matching the color scheme of the teal and orange. Like, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? So they really didn't. Oh, thank you so much for the subscription via Twitch Prime. So you guys are. Thank you. By the way, Twitch Prime, it's a great way to support the stream and my channel overall. Costs you nothing, and as long as you already have Amazon Prime, it's great. So thank you so much. Kim Gardner. Yes, Kim Gardner is a Sean King prosecutor. So he has a PAC called Real Justice PAC. I did a video about this, where he funnels a bunch of money from mega donors from the Democratic Party into these local district attorney races, and they use that in order to basically outspend the people that they have, and that's what gets them into power. And they have these district attorneys in power, and they just don't prosecute cases against criminals anymore. And the guy in San Francisco, the Chesa Boudin, is the Sean King district attorney, and he's actually raised by the Weather Underground guy, which is a whole thing in and of himself. And he actually said that his parents, their experience with the criminal justice system, informs his prosecution. His parents were the getaway drivers for a crime where cops were murdered. And that's the district attorney of San Francisco, if you want to know why laws aren't being prosecuted. So yeah, that's the kind of DA that they have, Kim Gardner. Yeah, Bill Ayers, yeah, that's the guy. The Weather Underground guy. So after this guy, Chesa Boudin's family, went to jail for murdering a cop, or, being involved in a crime, it's a felony murder that led to the death of a cop, he became a prosecutor. So, all right, people are making fun of the color scheme. So I have the gray and black because I have I have gray walls. It's a very modern color. If you guys want to talk about that, it's the gray is considered modern colors, but not a lot matches it. So there is some color around me. It's usually my contrasting color. If you want to know a little bit about schemes, is red. So in parts of my apartment that you can't see, I'll have red on the walls. So here, let me show you something that you wouldn't normally see. So you see I have the black fan, but I have red in that painting right there, right? And that's like a painting on my wall. So red would be my contrasting color because you have limited options if you're in a gray place. So that's a little inside baseball you get on the live stream that you don't necessarily get on the videos. Yeah, so that's why I have actually the red and black foam behind me when I shoot my videos, because they contrast with the gray. Also, let's see. So I don't know if you can notice, there's a light over there. But you see the difference in the color wall? That's called an accent wall. So I have a lighter gray, and then I have right there, I think that's a slate gray as the accent wall, and it's actually a little bit blown out because of the lights. Because you see I have these daylight lights right there. So, yeah. So that's what's lighting me. You see, all natural, nothing to make me glow or anything like that. But yeah, that's the idea. Now I'm having trouble placing the webcam back in the right place. So, yeah, there you go. A little bit of a tour. Yeah, that webcam's totally not too high right now. I almost got it. So, yeah, there we go. Somebody's like, gay. No. So I don't know this by myself, all the color contrast things. So let me go to the McCloskey thing right quick. So I know the McCloskey color contrast because this is a film color contrast, and I learned how to edit in a video production class, right? The color scheme for this room was actually done by a relative who knows a lot of interior decorating stuff. So I'm just explaining the stuff that was explained to me. I don't know what an accent wall is, nor do I really care. But that's the color scheme, since you guys were asking and you were picking on my my gray, right? So basically I had a relative that wanted to do all this in the apartment, and she has all these ideas and all these plans, and she's very precise and all that, but I had to do all the work. So I had to paint all this and all of that. So that's essentially what happened. Somebody asked what type of lighting do I use. So I have a video on my channel that talks about how you could have a setup very similar to mine, or actually my original setup on YouTube for around $100. It says the kind of lights that I use in that setup. So, actual home decorator guy, Jesus. See, this is why I don't indulge you guys and let you into the personal life, because then you start throwing me under the bus. Saying I'm a decorator guy. How dare you? I've never decorated it. Oh, I just bumped my mic. Really, it's all failing right now. I've never decorated anything in my life. I just paint. Hey, can I buy... Oh my god. Yeah, that's gonna be denied. Come on, guys. You need to be a little bit more classy. But yeah, So that's why I was bringing up the color scheme, because this is a very filmic color scheme. You can actually see them blown out. And if you know that teal and orange are in movies, like as the color contrast, then you should look at that going forward when you're watching movies. Because once you hear about it, you won't not notice it.